Hello, I'm Luke, the Hard Times guy. Got 3 points to cover. I want you to get it all. I want you to stay with me, but it's going to take however long it takes, and so let's get right on with it. Sometimes the message that you have for somebody, when you give it to them from your perspective, doesn't even make any sense to them. And that's hard to know. But I'm going to share a little story with you about that. It wasn't hard for me to know in this case because I was talking to my great-grandson. His name's Dawson Luke. And he, bright little kid. I love him to pieces. I'm pretty sure he loves me too. You might have seen him in my last video. He and his brother and I made a persimmon pudding together. You can go watch that video and get to know him if you want to. But he was talking to me Christmas Eve, and he came up to me and he said, "Papa, I want to ask you something." I said, "What is it, bud?" He said, "Those pistols over there, I want to play with them." Well, he's talking about these. This is a set of old, probably 1950s to 1955, 56 vintage cap pistols and holsters. They're in pretty good shape. There's what it looks like up close. There's 2 of them. He likes to play with them, or he likes to play with stuff like that. And he said, "Papa, can I play with those cap pistols?" I said, "Dawson," I said, "those cap pistols are probably worth more than $100. Like they are. If I let you play with them and you broke them, and they are old and fragile, and you could break them. In fact, you broke another set I had like that about a year ago. If I let you break them, then they wouldn't be worth anything." He looked at me, big brown eyes, melting my heart. He said, "Papa?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I don't know whether that's yes or no." I thought I made it pretty clear that he couldn't play with them cap pistols, but it wasn't clear to him. He didn't care what this worth. He's asked his papa if he could play with him, and his papa told him this is worth $100. That didn't even faze him. So I told you that little story because at the end of the story, the end of this video, I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to get back to that thought. But right now I'm going to go on. Not too long ago I made a video. Can't remember what the name of it was. Something about life and lessons. And it was talking about a poker game conversation that I'd had earlier with some of the fellas in a poker game I play in regularly. And I mentioned in that video that I was probably going to start making a series where we talked about life lessons and making decisions and how complicated life can be and how many ways that things can go wrong and many times that we don't have all the information that we need, but we've got to try to get the best information we can and make the best decision we can to proceed in life. And I told you I might use the game of poker to illustrate that, so I'm going to try to do that tonight. I'm going to show you, at least in part, an actual poker hand that I was involved in. And we're going to pick this up after the action's already started. Cards have been dealt. We're playing Omaha High, and I've got a hand which is the Ace of Diamonds, king of clubs, 10 of clubs, and 10 of hearts. I think you saw that hand in that video that I'm talking about that I made 4 or 5 videos ago. And I said in that video, this isn't a particularly good hand. And that's the first thing a person needs to think about when they set out to make a decision. Should I get involved in this, whatever it is, when it could work out all right for me, but, you know, would there be a better decision for me to, would there be a better place for me to get involved than this time, this place, this situation? Should I involve myself in this or not? And that's kind of how we need to look at life, and every decision that we make, everything that we do. And in this situation, there's a lot of times when this hand would have been good. Could have made there. It had a lot of possibilities to make a good hand, but it had a lot of opportunities to create more difficult decisions for me. Not only that, but some of the players in this hand were the kind of people that are unpredictable, or unpredictable is not a good word. Some of them are unpredictable, and some of them are predictable in that they're going to do wild and crazy and foolish and reckless things. So with them already in the hand, by the time it got to me, I didn't have to put a lot of in the pot to get there, but I had to put enough that I could have just probably threw this hand away. Not even got involved in it, but I decided to take a little bit of a chance. And all this is happening before you see what's going on in the hand. And it went around the table twice because it went through these people that I'm talking about that I knew might do just exactly what they did. They entered the first time, or checked the first time, or came in for the minimum, and then they raised it a little bit, and the next one raised it a little bit more. By the time it got back to me, I didn't really have any business in this pot, but by now the pot had gotten big enough, and I already had enough in it that probably the decision that I made, go ahead and get involved in this for the amount that I had to get involved in it for, was a good decision based on the kind of odds I was getting from the pot. But to start with, I knew that could happen. And to start with, I didn't have any investment in this thing. So that's how I got to the place that I got to when this video starts. I'm going to show you what happened.
Luke's in for all of it.
One hand I'm not playing.
It's in for all of it.
I'm in for all of it.
No, we gotta. Yeah, you are in for 100.
Yeah.
He's up for these two.
No. He's up for
These two. It's up for all three.
Yeah. Let's
Mike's
just fucking deal it out. Let me win.
Not any twos?
Yeah.
Except for this. Still got a bunch of money on the
Yeah.
table.
Specials.
There's a 2.
Action's on.
Yeah. we got a
He's
green.
all in. He's all in.
I check.
Be pot 3 if you bet. 200 in pot 3. Pot 4. Not 3. 200.
At this rate, we're getting almost 2 hands per hour.
This has been crazy.
Almost.
But the
2
rake has been made.
He forgets to rake it when these big bucks.
You need to put them on that like they do on a computer.
When all the action was concluded, before the flop, before they put the initial 3 cards out on the table, there was 587 wagering units in this pot. There were 5 people in it for 100 wagering units. I was one of those. Someone only had 32 when the hand began, and all their units were in the middle. And then another player, he had 55, and all his units were in the middle. So all that was left for the two of them was to wait and see what happened. The flop came, and the flop was deuce of hearts, queen of clubs, six of spades. If you compare that flop to my hand, it doesn't look very good. I got some runner backdoor possibilities, but on the outside chance that a pair of tens is still the best hand, I don't like my hand very much. But I don't think anybody else is going to like it very much, so I'm sitting there. I'm in late position, sitting there waiting to see what happens. The fact I was in late position is another reason I even played the pot. And probably one of the most dangerous players in the hand, he starts out by checking. And it gets around to the next to the last player to act before me, and he thinks about it a bit, and then he decides to bet 200 units. The guy sitting next to him, he folds. So I'm the last person to act on this bet. And I look at this like, from what I know of this guy and what I expected him to do actually in this place, he did about what I thought he did. I look at his bet as a stab at stealing this pot or taking it down now from the other players that still have money in front of them. He bets 200. I have 190 in front of me, and I look the table over and I decide that probably the two people that checked before him are going to call his wager. In fact, I expect one of them to, and the other one I'm absolutely certain he will. And if that happens, I'm going to be getting about 6 to 1 on my money, and I think, you know what? I think I'm going to gamble here. And I put the remainder of my chips in the pot.
We got You get somebody down to filming 150, down here. put you
He's down here filming.
Who? Oh, look at it.
Is he
You too,
filming
man.
this pot?
200's a bet. Luke's got 190 of it.
Me and him got a gig going. Me and him don't want 8 in it.
200.
I wish I had another 200.
I wish I had 200 more.
There's still gonna be money after this bet too, so
I may.
watch yourselves.
Well, Ronnie ain't got no money. That's mine and car protector.
I know.
All in.
Okay, he's all in. Give me
So pull the
200.
190s.
190.
Dang.
190.
Old Rick's going down tonight.
Three more. Wait, you got one too many. There you go.
Luke, you're up for all these pots. You got
Nathan
Brian,
already
that
left,
10.
didn't he? I was gonna
You've
thank
already
him
lost
for
that
getting
10.
me them
You put it in the
gingers
pot.
now.
That is yours.
You got to make that $10 look like. $180.
And the man leave the empty box in the refrigerator.
need a 3. Here. Wait.
Oh, okay, here,
He's got it right here.
It doesn't matter. It's not high low. You can give him 14. There we go.
There's 5 pots.
No, he doesn't have anything.
I'm up for all of them but that one over there, right?
There's 5 pots.
3 queens.
This one I got right.
You can beat 3 queens.
Well, I got back around to the first fellow that I expected might call, and he folded. Kind of surprised me. But I expected he folded in anticipation of what happened next. That the other fella, he just shoved all his chips in the pot, and so now the original raiser has to call another 180 some betting units to remain in the pot himself. He don't like it, but he does. He calls. And my observation of this whole process was, you know what? Probably not, but my pair of 10s could still be good. And I felt like if I hit another 10, I had a winner. If I could hit runner clubs, I had a winner. If I could hit runner king jack, I'd had a winner, and I thought I might even win if I hit an ace or a king. So I wasn't feeling too bad about things yet. Well, that was all the wagering that could be done, so there wasn't anything left but to run out the board. And
King. I need a
No,
club.
I got two pair now.
I need
I'm
a
gonna
5.
club one time.
Oh, I had 3 8s. I had 3
Two pair.
8s.
God.
Let's do this pot right
the
here.
next card off the board was the 4 clubs. And that was a good card for me, because I had the second nut club draw. A fella down on the other end that was one of the short monies in the pot, he started yelling for a club. So he could have had the nut club draw, but I don't think he did. I think his club draw was jack high. But even if it wasn't, he could only win the original 587 units that were in the pot. And if he won that, I was still going to get the remaining 507 that was eligible to me. And if he didn't have the nuts and the club came, I was going to get 1,157 units. So I like that card. But the final card came off. 8 of spades. I had nothing. No chance to win. And the 4 clubs had made the fellow that initially pushed his whole stack in with top pair. He had a queen. When the flop came, he checked, and then he pushed his whole stack into a 200 wagering unit bet. And that 4 came off, made him 2 pair. As it turned out, his 2 pair won the pot. And you think, man, how do you have a pot with over 1,500 wagering units in it, and somebody wins it with queens and 4s? But that happened. So I made nothing. And you can see through that process that I had opportunities to do something different. But I talked myself into making the wrong decision twice. I could have and should have folded my hand after the flop. When the first fella put the 200 in there, I didn't put him on much of a hand, but I didn't have much of a hand either. I don't know whether I'd have beat him if the other fella hadn't called or not. As it turned out, the guy expected to call. The 8 on the river made him 3 8s. He would have won the pot, but he didn't. He didn't call. He made the right decision and would have won. I made the wrong decision and I lost. That's how life is. You can see that it gets difficult. It gets sticky. There's lots of ways to go wrong. And when you got as many opportunities to make mistakes as I did in this hand, you can make the wrong choice a lot of times. You get lucky even with your bad choices sometimes. And life's like that too. You can make a bad choice and it turn out all right. That's what makes it worth living. I'm going to make another video with this same hand I had, Ace King 10-10. I'm going to make another video with imaginary cards and show you how things can really, really go wrong. But I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to let this be your introduction to this little series where we compare life to poker. And I'm going to come back to that subject that I started with, my great-grandson and the cat pistols. And me thinking I made myself perfectly clear, and him saying, "Papa, you didn't give me an answer." And what I said was, sometimes when you're telling somebody something from your perspective, it just doesn't register with them. And a couple of weeks ago, we were at a poker game, and one of the fellows was complaining to all of us about how his becoming acquainted with us, this group around the poker table, how that had caused him to totally mess up his life and be miserable, and there was all kinds of things that he was blaming on his association with the fellas in this poker game. And I'm not going to tell you any more about this guy than that. I may in later videos, but I decided to participate in this particular conversation, and I gave him the decisions you make have more to do with what happens to you in your life than any other single factor. Those of you who are my regular viewers know two things. One thing you know is, you've heard me say that before. You know the basis behind why I say that. You know I feel passionately about it. We aren't victims of other people's actions. We're a product of our own actions and our own decisions and our own discipline that is either there, it isn't, to make good decisions and abide with them. You've heard me say that in lots of videos. And if you're my family members, you've heard me say it lots of times. And that's the second point I want to make. I was speaking to this guy the same way I speak to people that I love. People I care deeply about. People that I want to have the best things in life. I was giving him that same advice that I give them. Those of you that are my family members and my friends, you know this to be true. You've had that same advice from me countless number of times. I found out last night. Here's what the guy said to me. He'd been chewing on that ever since I'd said it to him. And he was playing again last night. And we were talking about various things, and he singled me out and he said, "You, who I've known for 25 years." He was wrong. It's been closer to 19, but that's okay. 25 years, he said, you've been quiet, gentleman. Sit there and keep your mouth shut, mind your own business. He said, after all that time, you ruined it last week. He said, you open your mouth with this crap about everything being my fault. He said, you hurt me and you offended me with your speech. I'm going to repeat this. I was talking to him like I talk to people I love. That's a rare thing when I talk to somebody that's just an associate of mine that I have other dealings with, but they aren't near and dear to me, like my family. It's a rare thing when I even offer to give them any advice. And he took it as an insult. Well, I'm going to talk about that again sometime in a future video. That's enough for today. I'm a hard times guy. You have a good day.